I need to move on to something that I think is breaking news right now. I guess just like an hour, or this says updated 13 minutes ago, but I think it was like an hour ago. The House has officially voted to limit Trump's Iran war powers in remarkable rebuke. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't expecting this. I was not expecting the Dems to actually allow this to pass. This is the House, though. Let's be clear. This might have to go through the Senate, I suppose, which it probably won't if I had to guess. But also, then obviously it would go to Trump's desk to sign, which he would veto it. But at least that's my understanding. But let's go ahead and read this article and see how this is going in the House. So the House passed a resolution on Wednesday to limit President Donald Trump's war powers in Iran, a significant rebuke to Trump and his handling of the conflict. Democrats have repeatedly forced votes to limit Trump's war powers in both the House and the Senate, a campaign that has gradually picked up more GOP support in recent weeks. The vote was 215 to 208, with Republican reps Thomas Massie, Brian Fitzpatrick, Tom Barrett, and Warren Davidson crossing party lines to support the resolution. Good for them. I mean, I like to give people credit when they deserve it, even if they are all probably ghouls. Passage of the War Powers resolution is the latest instance of the GOP-controlled Congress pushing back on Trump's agenda. Senate Republicans in recent days have revolted over a controversial $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund, which we just talked about, that Trump favors, but which they fear would grant payouts to his supporters who attacked police officers during the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Senate Republicans also formally removed funding for Trump's ballroom security on Wednesday as part of their immigration package after the chamber's official rulekeeper determined it violated budgetary rules. Okay. The measure, known as a concurrent resolution passed by the House Wednesday, must be approved by both chambers, but would not go to the president to be signed. Oh, so it doesn't have to go to the president to be signed. I didn't know that. According to the Senate's website, concurrent resolutions do not have the force of law. Well, okay. Well, then what's the point? I don't know. Maybe I'm learning about concurrent resolutions right now. I don't know exactly what the difference is between that and a normal law. The resolution was introduced by New York Democrat Rep. Gregory Meeks, the ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I'm thrilled that we've had the opportunity to have some members from the Republican side stand up. Democrats love when a Republican comes over to their side. They're like, gimme. I want more Republicans. We need those good Republicans. Yeah, that's what the Democrats want. I'm really thrilled and proud of my Democrat colleagues because every Democrat, every single one voted for this. Meeks told reporters after the vote. Wait till it gets to the Senate. I assure you there will be at least one that doesn't. That's going to be Fetterman, the Fetty Wap himself. He added, we're going to continue to do our constitutional responsibilities. That's what we're doing. We're going to continue and be a check and a balance when the administration doesn't follow the Constitution. Here's my problem. My core problem with this is that he's already breaking the law. He is already breaking the law. It is unconstitutional for him to be in war with Iran at this point in time. We are past that 60-day threshold that you can use like the War Powers Act or whatever to be in a war outside of congressional approval. And so since he's breaking the law, you know what happens when someone breaks the law? You arrest them. That's what you're supposed to do. He's breaking the law right now, so he should be arrested. Now, obviously, they're not going to do that. But I'm tired of living in this world where the president just gets to break the law freely, willy-nilly, as much as he wants. And then Congress has to come in after the fact and be like, but actually, you this time for real, though, you're actually breaking the law. They come in and pass a law saying it's illegal that he broke the law. And it just seems so silly and dysfunctional. And we have a joke governing body, a joke of a government that doesn't make any sense. And I don't know. I get so frustrated with this situation that we find ourselves in where, yeah, I don't know. It just makes me really, really frustrated. I will say this, though. When a Democrat gets in charge, remember what you are allowed to do now. You are allowed to just break the law, okay? Democrats, I need you to understand that. When you get in charge, you are allowed to just break the law and then wait for Congress to come in and pass a secondary law that says you're breaking the law, okay? I want you to remember, don't be like some pussy ass bitch and be like, we're going to take the high ground or whatever. No, remember what they did and use all of the power that Donald Trump got for the executive branch and use it for good. That is my advice to the Democrats. Anyway, this vote was originally set to take place on May 21st, but was abruptly canceled by GOP leaders just as Republicans were on the verge of losing the vote due to absences. At the time, Meeks told reporters that he thought House Speaker Mike Johnson had been stalling a vote on the measure. A lot of my Republican colleagues are feeling the pressure back home when they're looking at the cost of food, the cost of gas. He previously told CNN Johnson is feeling heat. He's trying to cover for the president, but I think the time of him being able to cover for the president is rapidly ending. Yeah, I mean, things are tough out there. You constantly eviscerate the entire working class, and then you add on an unpopular, illegal war of choice that makes their lives even more expensive. Yeah, it's hard to cover for that indefinitely. Ahead of the vote on Wednesday, Johnson defended some GOP lawmakers' opposition to reining in Trump's war powers in Iran, warning it could have a very negative impact on negotiations. Yes and no. It will show a sign to Iran that their strategy is working, but I don't know if they really even needed that sign to know that their strategy is working. I think they're very confident in their strategy. And so the strategy of like slowly ramping up the pressure on not just like the reason I say yes and no is that I don't know if they care necessarily about the individual the individual political considerations of Americans so much as they do the international implications of shortages of oil. I think that oil shortages in Europe and the East Asia will have a much bigger impact on how quickly this comes to a close rather than the actual domestic political considerations in America personally. But anyway, I think it is a very dangerous prospect to take away from the administration and the commander-in-chief right now, the ability to negotiate. That's what this does. It weakens us, our position, and our leverage in negotiation on the peace in that situation. Well, you have no leverage. You have a weak position. This doesn't change that at all. I guess, like I said, yes and no, because it's just giving Iran a slight larger amount of confirmation that their strategy is working. So in that regard, yes. But largely speaking, I think they're worried about, I think they're looking at other factors more so than this particular instance. Okay. Johnson claimed all of the U.S. objectives in Iran were well-defined and achieved, despite some lawmakers, including Republicans, expressing interest in receiving further information from the administration. Well, then tell me what they are and how, their Navy is at the bottom of the sea. You've said that a million times. Their Air Force is obliterated, but none of those were goals. None of those were the goals set out at the beginning of the war. Those are propaganda victory narratives, but the original goal was that they were trying to do regime change, and the unstated goal was that they were trying to do regime change on behalf of the nation state of Israel, and that was really their only goal. The nuclear stuff was a fake non-issue. That's just I don't know. That's just wrong. They were not well defined, and they sure as hell weren't achieved. The president is now in the process of concluding a peace agreement, and we have to allow him the latitude to do that. And I think a war powers resolution right now is very untimely and a very, very negative and dangerous thing for the country, he said. Well, then maybe you should have gotten it a long time ago. There you go. Maybe you should have gotten it before you went to war. The Pentagon, State Department, and USAID inspectors generally have launched a joint review of the U.S. war with Iran, announcing a press release Wednesday that they are mandated by law to probe overseas military operations that exceed 60 days. That was what I talked about at the beginning. The announcement is significant because it indicates that the watchdogs believe that legally the war has lasted more than 60 days from its commencement on February 28th. Under the War Powers Act, the president is prohibited from keeping U.S. troops in active hostilities for more than 60 days without congressional approval. The administration never sought such approval for Operation Epic Fury. God, such a lame ass name, but the name the U.S. gave, the lame ass name the U.S. gave to its military campaign against Iran. Defense Secretary, War Secretary Pete Hegseth said last month that it was his misunderstanding. It was his understanding that the 60-day clock on the war reset when President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire in April. What a fucking loophole, man. I love that loophole. That's the best loophole that they've ever found to the War Powers Resolution. Actually, we declare a ceasefire. For the next 7 minutes, we are going to be in a ceasefire. I declare it. Ceasefire starts now. And then 7 minutes later, they're like, okay, ceasefire is over. Time to start bombing again. The war has been reset. What a great loophole. I love it. Apparently, Congress disagrees with you, though. I'm sorry, War Crimes Secretary Pete Hegseth. So, okay, well, that's interesting. I think that we're going to see this go to the Senate now. I think Fetterman is definitely going to vote against it. Maybe that can be overcame with a couple Republicans joining. We'll see. I also am worried about like the Democrats as well, strategically, allowing some people to vote to like not let it pass, because a lot of the, like the Schumers and stuff are fundamentally like in favor of this war. So we'll see what happens there. So there you go, people. That was kind of interesting. And I actually read an article today. You should be happy.